I can still hear the sound of her ribs breaking. That sharp, dry crack. It wasn't loud, but it cut through the air like a gunshot. For a split second, everything froze. The sunlight, the water dripping from the hose, even the sound of the lawnmower down the street, it all went silent. And in that silence I realized war doesn't always end on the battlefield. Sometimes it finds you again right in your own driveway. That morning was supposed to be normal. Just another quiet Saturday in Brookhaven Hills, Texas. I was out washing my old Ford F-150, letting the sun dry the suds while Sarah unloaded groceries from the SUV. She was wearing that pale blue sundress I loved, the one that fluttered just a little when the wind picked up. Her hair caught the light like black silk, and for a brief moment I thought, this is peace. This is what I fought for. But peace is a fragile illusion. Sarah called over her shoulder, "You ever notice that gray Malibu again?" I frowned. "The one you said was circling last week?" She nodded, shifting a grocery bag against her hip. "Yeah, it rolled past again last night. Slow. Too slow." I tried to laugh it off. Probably just some lost delivery guy. Streets here twist like spaghetti. She didn't laugh. "Ethan, packages keep disappearing. The Willis's doorbell camera went out 2 days ago. Doesn't that sound weird to you?" It did. But I didn't say it. I'd spent years trying to bury the soldier in me to stop scanning rooftops and reading every shadow like a threat. I wanted to believe that suburban life meant safety. But that afternoon the soldier in me woke up. 2 men showed up while Sarah was bringing in the last of the groceries. One tall, broad-shouldered, thick beard under a faded orange safety vest. The other shorter, solid tattoo curling up his forearm like a snake. Both wore mirrored sunglasses that hid everything but intent. The tall one raised a plastic badge. "Ma'am, you're in violation of HOA regulations." Sarah blinked. "Excuse me, there's no HOA on this street." He took a step closer, voice flat. "Multiple complaints. Trash violations, unauthorized vehicles, unapproved landscaping. We'll have to issue a fine." I shut off the hose and just listened. My instincts started whispering something's wrong. Sarah squared her shoulders, polite but firm. "You've got the wrong house." Then he grabbed her arm, just reached out like she was property. The sound she made when she hit the curb will stay with me forever. A sharp gasp, a hollow crack, and the grocery bag burst open beside her milk and peaches rolling across the driveway like spilled blood. The shorter guy knelt, rifling through her purse, calm as a man sorting mail. The tall one just stood there watching the street like he was waiting for a bus. I started walking toward them, each step heavier than the last. "Back off," the tall one barked. I didn't answer. My pulse slowed. My vision tunneled. Old habits returning whether I wanted them or not. Sarah tried to push herself up, her breath coming in ragged, painful gasps. She reached for her side eyes wide with panic. The sound of her pain hit harder than any weapon could. Then the shorter man reached for something at his belt, a flash of metal. Knife. I didn't think. My body moved before my mind caught up. 3 strides to the porch, hand sliding under the wooden panel beside the door. The latch clicked open with the sound of old memory, and there it was. My M4. Clean. Oiled. Waiting. The weight of that rifle in my hands felt like stepping into a past I'd sworn I'd buried. When I turned back, they were dragging toward their car, still acting like they owned the morning. I leveled the barrel, stopped the car, hands where I can see them. The bearded one hesitated. Then, instead of listening, he barked, "Screw this," and jumped into the driver's seat. The engine roared to life. The tires screeched. Pop, 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 6 shots, 6 seconds. 1 through the fender, 2 into the radiator. 1 blew out the tire, another shattered the mirror. The last punched through the trunk. The car jerked sideways, hissing smoke, crippled. Then silence. They scrambled out, hands up, voices shaking. We're done. I didn't move, didn't speak. Just stood there, rifle steady, the hiss of the broken hose mixing with the smell of hot metal and rubber. When the police arrived, lights flashing red and blue against the shattered glass, I lowered the rifle slowly. "Rifle's on safe," I said. "I'm the homeowner. They attacked my wife." Sarah was still breathing, but shallow. When they loaded her into the ambulance, she caught my sleeve, whispered through clenched teeth, "Stay calm." I tried to, but my hands were trembling like I'd just stepped off a battlefield. That night I sat alone in the kitchen. The house was too quiet. Her mug still on the counter, half a ring of coffee dried inside. Every breath of air through the vent felt too loud. News was already spreading. Navy SEAL fires 6 rounds at fake HOA cops. Some called me a hero. Others said I turned a peaceful neighborhood into a war zone. And for the first time in a long time, I doubted myself. I stared at my hands, the same hands that had held that rifle, and I asked the question I didn't want to say out loud. Had I gone too far? If I'd acted sooner, maybe Sarah wouldn't be in a hospital bed. If I'd waited longer, maybe she'd be dead. I didn't know which thought scared me more. A detective named Holloway called me 2 days later. We searched the car, he said. Found stolen mail, counterfeit HOA badges, and a handgun under the seat. That one sentence pulled me back from the edge. A week later, I stood in court. The DA questioned everything: my training, my choices, the 6 rounds I fired. You could have subdued them without using a weapon, he said. I clenched my fists under the table. They hadn't seen Sarah's body twist on that driveway. They hadn't heard that sound. My lawyer, Mark Halpern, was calm, precise. Under Texas Castle doctrine, he told the jury a homeowner has the right to defend his property and his family. He fired at the vehicle to stop 2 armed suspects from fleeing, not at their bodies. Then the DA called one of them to the stand, Troy Maddox, the bearded man. He looked smaller now, wrists cuffed, orange jumpsuit hanging loose. Under oath, he finally said the name. "We were hired," he muttered. "By Richard Kane, said he wanted to scare a few homeowners, make them sell." The courtroom went silent. Richard Kane, the polished HOA president. The man who smiled at block parties, who handed out flyers about lawn maintenance and noise complaints. He'd been behind it all. Halpern leaned forward. "Mr. Maddox, can you confirm this text message exchange with a contact labeled RK?" The projection screen lit up with messages. "Blue house next to corner lot, couple inside, easy target," followed by a payment confirmation. Then came the grainy bar footage, Kane sliding an envelope across the table, his cufflinks catching the light. His face turned gray as the evidence rolled. He tried to claim fabrication, but when the detective showed bank records matching the cash withdrawal, he stammered, voice cracking. That was the moment he broke. The jury didn't even take long. Charges against me were dropped. Kane was indicted for conspiracy and solicitation. The 2 men who'd hurt Sarah went down for assault and impersonating officers. When the verdict came, I didn't feel joy, just relief. The kind that hits deep somewhere below your ribs like air you didn't know you were holding. But I still remember that morning, the sunlight, the hose, the sound of peace shattering like glass. For weeks after, I kept hearing echoes of it. Every creak of the porch, every passing car made me tense. Even after Sarah came home, moving slow, ribs still bandaged, I'd catch myself watching the street through the blinds. People started calling me the guy with the gun. Some crossed to the other sidewalk when I walked the dog. Others brought pie and said, "You did what you had to." I didn't need their approval. I just needed the noise in my head to stop. One evening, I fixed a small wooden sign above the hidden safe on the porch. The letters were rough, but the message was clear. "This home is protected by righteous fury." When Sarah saw it, she smiled, her voice soft. "It's not about fury, Ethan. It's about knowing where the line is and never letting anyone cross it again." She was right. I used to think peace was the absence of war. Now I know it's the courage to defend it. Never ignore the signs and never let fear wear a badge.